gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the very start of week 4 here at Flux Motorsport, where we're bringing you, of course, the FMTCC Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship. And for those of you that don't recognise the course, welcome to the absolutely unmistakable Monza GP circuit here, where we're basked in glorious sunshine in the beautiful Monza, Italy. And we're all set for what is going to be an absolute cracker. Our qualifying session just underway, and it looks as though the native resident of Monza is actually taking to the track first off in the form of Chris 94 M Sport in that number 5 Griventech Vauxhall Astra. Looks as though he's going to lead the charge, and although he's in an underpowered car, you can almost assume, with just being living a stone's throw away from this circuit, that he's going to have this one absolutely nailed down, hoping to get a home win for the Tifosi here. And I'd love to know what your bets are as we see him drifting in there, trying to get some heat into those tyres. And as we enter week 4, what a championship we've got. Looking up at the top, unfortunate for Dan, his disconnection last week at Imola has set him down the running order, but Pro Fubby leads the charge in the championship, 98 points for Pro Fubby. Linga Bazinga, though, just 5 points behind on 93. Al Axon, due to Dan's disconnection, has seen himself step up into the 3rd place of the championship, 71 points for him and the number 11 Air Bubbles, Renault Megane. And then Dan remains on 60 points as he did in race 2. Chris 94 M Sport, the guy that we're focusing on now, just beginning his hot lap, is in 5th place in the championship on 54 points, with Booth Jumbo, a latecomer to the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship, making a real impact in his first couple of races, finding himself on 52 points, just 2 points away from Chris M Sport in that Team Graventech. Kovkarl and Luke van der Streets find themselves in 7th and 8th respectively, both drivers running in the PCCF liveries. Kovkarl on 48 points and Luke van der Streets in 46. Porscheman is having a great season really, finding himself mid-pack on 39 points in 9th place for that number 86 Monster Energy Renault Megane. And then Wardy and Spankmeyer disconnected last week, finds himself in 11th place in the standings, with Wardy in 10th. Both of those drivers in the SRT Renault Meganes. Snarlin Bongo didn't finish last week. He finds himself 12th in the standings in the number 28 SRT Racing BMW. And alongside him is Green Gaming in 13th place on 17 points in the number 27 SRT Racing BMW. S2N Remy can't join us this evening, so we've brought in an old fan favourite in the form of SX Flatpack. He's going to get this one everything that he can, as he always does in every appearance inside the FMTCC. And also bringing up the rear in the championship is Old Smoky. So it looks as though Chris 94 M Sport had a bit of a nightmare as he came through Ascari. Just messed up his braking, maybe got a bit too much drift and didn't catch it. Found himself running through the gravel, so I don't think this one's going to be too hot at all. We've got Snarlin Bongo purple in Sector 1, Pro Fubby purple in Sector 2. Both of these times looking super fast as well. Pro Fubby's Sector 2 is just head and shoulders above everybody else. But Al Axon starts recording times. Pro Fubby then comes in with the fastest so far, 1:56.303 to beat. Let's have a look over to Pro Fubby. Looks as though he's just encountering some traffic, so he then returns back into the pits. Dan is currently 2nd in the running order. 1:57.228 from him. Snarlin Bongo's really got himself up there as well, not too far away in the BMW. Quickest of the Bimmers so far in the form of Snarlin Bongo. And he's actually got held on to that purple Sector 1 as well. He's 1/10 quicker than Pro Fubby. In fact, he's 1.5 tenths quicker than Pro Fubby in Sector 1. Just falling short the main part in Sector 3, 6/10 slower in Sector 3 than the current pole sitter. And for those of you that may be joining us for the first time, we have noticed a few new subscribers. Welcome to Flux Motorsport. Here's what we do on a weekly basis. Of course, you're tuning in on Tuesday for the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship, and you'll be able to look forward to the GT1s brought to you by McToasty and DJ Redders. That comes live Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time, around 3 p.m. in the afternoon if you're watching over the pond in America. And the GT1s are taking on the other infamous circuit in the form of Spa-Francorchamps. One to always look forward to, and if you've seen the weather reports, things are looking pretty dicey at the moment in Belgium, in that beautiful Ardennes forest. But yeah, looks as though it's currently set for rain. The weather will be locked in around about 1 p.m. in the afternoon tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled on the weather report for that one. And then on Fridays you'll be able to catch the GTE Championships. If you're watching over in America, that begins 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching over here in Europe, it will actually kick off on Saturday morning. It kicks off around about 1 a.m. Saturday morning here in the UK, so please adjust to wherever you're watching us. And Snarling Bongo has jumped up into second. This is going to be one to watch, definitely. Snarling Bongo is real close to Profubbi, and we definitely have got a glimpse of what those BMWs can do off the line. It's going to be a very exciting start into the first corner section of Retafilo. So the GTEs, as mentioned on Friday evening, if you're watching over in America, they're taking on the Indianapolis Road Circuit this week. And next on the lineup is the IndyCars, again another American championship. So if you're watching this maybe on catch up, or maybe you're tuning in over in America and you fancy getting involved, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the time when our races kick off. And the IndyCars are taking on Indianapolis's oval circuit this week after a rather dramatic Long Beach GP last week. So back on to the details of today. Profubbi is still in first place, Snarling Bongo in second. Profubbi has since returned to the circuit, but we are currently watching our third place sitter, the top of the second row, currently in the form of Dan VWB. Finds himself almost a second off the pace of Profubbi at the moment, but he has gone green in Sector 1 and Sector 2 this time around. Let's see what his Sector 3 is like. Might well be challenging Snarling Bongo this time around, but Snarling Bongo did actually go purple in Sector 1. Snarling Bongo in that BMW is looking about 3/10 quicker than Profubbi at the moment in Sector 1. Sector 2 has let him down massively, so it's not going to be another contender for the fastest lap, but let's see what Dan has got as he approaches and comes across the line. It's not an improvement. In fact, it looks as though he may have invalidated that lap, so we'll switch on over to Profubbi. Looks as though he's on an outlap in a bit of traffic. One of the Hakeens. I think that's actually Linga Bazinga ahead of him. There's Linga on a hot lap. Just having a look at his lap times, he's about a second off the pace of Profubbi's green Sector 1. Not what we'd come to expect from the Dutchman. Very fast, whatever the class. So expect to see him up there and challenging, but it is a tricky circuit in these mainly front-wheel drive cars. Touring cars, very, very different indeed, especially into this final corner through Parabolica. The last thing you want to do is misjudge your entrance speed into this one and have to correct midway through the corner, because you will just scrub off the speed due to the front-wheel drive nature of the Renault Megans and, of course, the Vauxhall or Opel Astra. Let's look at Chris 94M Sport. Doesn't look as though he's got a lap together yet. If he has, then he really is struggling for pace. Expect him to be mighty consistent, but we did see him struggling a little bit through Ascari in one of the opening laps. Maybe that one's still catching him out. Just having a look, looks as though his Sector 2 time is down quite dramatically. He's around about a second off the pace of the front runners in Sector 2, but not yet able to really hook one together, it seems. So we'll focus over to Snarling Bongo. Let's see where he's at. Looks as though he's got a bit of a slipstream going on. That looks as though it's Booth Jumbo's Team ACR ahead, and the yellow mirrors of the turquoise and white car indicates that that will be Kovkarl ahead of them. Let's jump into the cockpit of Snarling Bongo. He's actually gone purple in Sector 1. He's green in Sector 2. I think he's about 2/10 behind. Let's see what he can pull away in Sector 3 and see whether or not he can make an impression on Dan's current second place time of 1:56.868. Doesn't look as though he's been able to get it done as he comes into the braking and returns to the pits. So Linga Bazinga now looks as though he's on a hot lap, although his tyres are still looking pretty chilly. That's definitely not going to be optimum. Track temperatures 112 degrees Fahrenheit, 87 degrees air temperature. So it is definitely a hot one here. It shouldn't take long for those tyres to warm up, and it looks as though they're just about on form now for Linga Bazinga. Currently 5th place, but let's see what he can put together in this next lap. So 8 minutes and 15 seconds remain inside this championship qualifier. We are, of course, race 4. If you have missed any of the 3 races that did precede it, unfortunately, it looks as though our first race was dramatically cut short due to a disconnection from myself here in the commentary box. But the rest of them, along with all of our other races through all of our other seasons and across all of the other championships, are available on the YouTube channel. Just make your way through the playlist that we've curated for you, and you'll also find some highlight videos as well from last season where we had nail-biting finishes in pretty much all of our championships. Something to definitely sit back and enjoy, maybe not when the weather is this good over here in Europe, but on that rainy day you can really fulfill those racing needs. And of course, if you're looking to sign up and get involved in Flux Motorsport, there's only one place that you really need to go. That's www.fluxmotorsport.com, and you'll find a link there on how you can join our Discord, which is completely free. All we'll need is a little bit of information from you on the way in. Just fill in the form with your details, and then you'll be greeted by our entire community, get you out on track as soon as possible. After you've completed a quick evaluation drive, you'll then be eligible to compete in all of our Project Cars 2 championships. We do, of course, have a Dirt Rally Championship that is open to all platforms. No evaluation drive needed, just rock up, and each week we'll be challenging you with a different set of 5 stages. Currently running in the R5 class on Dirt Rally, and it's been nail-biting stuff throughout the championship. But back onto this nail-biter here at Monza. Pro Fubby continues to lead the charge. Linga Bazinga is getting ever closer. You see him just coming in for a fresh set of rubber and a bit of a fuel. So splash and dash for Linga Bazinga. He comes back out the pits. He's got 6 minutes to do it on Pro Fubby. Snarling Bongo's time has fallen away slightly, but that is just because of the pace of Linga Bazinga ahead of him. So it looks as though the difference in Sector 1, this is only from the last time around, between Linga Bazinga and Pro Fubby is around about 6/10 difference in the favour of Linga Bazinga. 40.168 is the current fastest Sector 1 from the Dutchman, running in the number 25, Joaquin Renault Megane. And he really is on a flyer. I expect fireworks between him, Pro Fubby, Dan, and even Snarling Bongo as well. Remember, Snarling Bongo in the BMW, and if you haven't witnessed the difference between the BMW compared to the Renault Megane off the line at the start of a race, then you really either haven't seen a Flux Motorsport touring car race before, but you are in for an absolute treat. This thing is like a rocket off the line compared to these front-wheel drive cars, and it's definitely going to be an advantage. Even with this gap for Snarling Bongo, he's then just going to have to try and hold on to it. Of course, this is Monza, and the braking into Rettifilo is always treacherous for anybody in there. Even when you get through Curva Grande, in the braking into Roggia, it's another sort of haphazard chicane. Aren't many corners on this classic track, but all of them need to be taken just right, especially under race conditions with cars alongside. So back on the leaderboards, looks as though Wardy's starting to make improvements. He isn't enough to get him off 14th position yet though. Spankmeyer, meanwhile, is green in Sector 1, green in Sector 2. Expect him to jump up. He's currently 11th at the moment. Let's see where this current lap lands him. Also looks as though Kovkar made some improvements, currently sat in 8th place. Almost his position in the championship as well. And Spankmeyer does make an improvement. It's only enough for 10th place at the moment though. He sits almost 2 seconds off that blistering pace of the front runners. Looks as though we've already got a bit of a pack forming. Booth Jumbo is 1 second away from the leader in terms of qualifying lap times. And then it seems to split off into a group that around about 2 seconds or so behind. That features between 7th and 10th place, and then it's almost like we've got the best of the rest from Porsche Man onwards. Porsche Man 2.6 seconds away, Chris 94 M Sport 3.5, but he is in the lesser powered Vauxhall stroke Opel Astra. Green Gaming also struggling for pace, although he has hooked up a quickest Sector 2. And Wardy looks as though he's making improvements again. Sector 1 and Sector 2 looking alright. Let's see what his Sector 3 is like. Looks as though he might be enough for 12th position off the grid. Have to wait and see. But final 3 minutes now, this is when it starts to get real tense. Looks as though Linga Bazinga is just about to come up to one of the SRT boys. Just trying to have a look at which number that is. In fact, it's got to be Wardy, I think, because Spankmeyer is currently inside the pits. In fact, no, sorry, that's the Momo Corsa of Dan. So that is Dan in 3rd place, currently off the grid. Almost giving Linga Bazinga a bit of a tow if Linga can get close enough on the run-up to Parabolica. So Pro Fubby still continues to lead this one. He's going to be set for a bonus point if he manages to pick up pole position. Bonus points given to both pole position and the fastest lap inside the race conditions. Looks as though Linga Bazinga's slowed it right down, as has Dan. Looks as though they're going to try and make sure that they avoid all traffic and give this one the best that they can. They're only going to have enough for a one shot here. So Pro Fubby leads the charge. I don't think he's going to get out for another lap, so it's down to Linga Bazinga, who we're currently tracking. Dan is just ahead of him. Snarling Bongo is in 4th place. He looks pretty comfortable and pretty secure, as well as Luke van der Streets has settled in 5th and returns into the pits. But Booth Jumbo is still out on track, and he's going to run pretty well, judging off his previous form. Looks as though Essex Flatpack has come in with a major impact as well. He's just 2/10 away from Booth Jumbo. He is, of course, a mainstay in the touring cars, loves to get out there and thrash these little front-wheel drives around. In fact, let's have a little look over to him at the moment, just so I can check out which livery he's in. Looks as though he's opted for the 4C number 17, which he raced in last season round. I reckon he'll be on for a good one on here. Always gets on well with the touring car drivers. Always wants to challenge Pro Fubby. See whether or not he can get it done. He certainly had a couple of close encounters last season round. He was fraught with a couple of classic touring car scrapes and bumps. Definitely be wanting to try and avoid this one though, as he completes his second to last lap. Looks as though he's got 6 litres of fuel in. Tyres are almost run up, so this is going to be the last shot for Essex Flatpack. Let's have a look back over to Linga Bazinga though, with Dan ahead. Doesn't look as though this lap's working for them. Dan has actually gone red in sectors 1 and 2, so this one's going to be invalid for him. But Linga Bazinga long away with white laps in sector 1 and sector 2. Don't think he's going to be able to make it across the line either to fit in another one, so he's just going to have to settle for second place. But it's not all too bad. I'd definitely rather settle for second than settle for anything further down the grid. So it looks as though Dan is actually on an invalid one. I don't think he crossed the line before the timer ran out, so I think he's just running a bit of an outlap. I am positive that Essex Flatpack is currently out on a Stormer though. Let's check out his progress as he comes through. He has gone green in sector 1, and he's about, well, I'd say that's about 1.5 tenths away from the purple sector time here. He's putting a 40.721 in sector 1. Wait and see what his sector 2's like. Just coming up to the approach to Ascari, out the run of Seraglio. See him doing all of his braking before that section, and it's just balancing the throttle on the way through. It's usually the second part of Ascari that will really catch you out. You want to get a nice sort of balanced line through there, otherwise it will snap you out. Also trying to avoid the outside curb as well, because that's pretty perilous. Look at the way that he's taken Parabolica there. It looks almost flawless. Running out wide, he's going to try and cut in. He's minimising friction, so you can see him there running up to the inside line, taking the shortest route possible without scrubbing off too much speed. Let's see whether or not it's going to be worth it for him. As we check out the final running order, it wasn't in the end. Essex Flatpack stays where he was, so Pro Fubby gets pole position and the bonus point with Linga Bazinga in second. Dan VWB in third. Good running from the Belgian, just couldn't quite match the pace of Linga Bazinga in the end. Snarling Bongo, the Dutchman, in fourth position in that BMW. Check this out off the line. He's certainly going to have a bit of a run up to turn one. Luke van der Streets, fellow Dutchman as well, in fifth place in the PCCF, with Booth Jumbo in that Team ACR in sixth place. Essex Flatpack doing it for the 4C Motorsports in seventh place, with Kov Karl, the other PCCF driver, in eighth. Alaxon in the Classic 11 Air Bubbles in 9th, with Spankmeyer in the SRT in 10th, just ahead of the native Chris 94 M Sport in that Graventech Astra. Porsche Man in the Monster Energy does enough for 12th place, ahead of Green Gaming in the other SRT racing BMW. Then Wardy in the other SRT in 14th place, with Old Smoky in the Mist BMW at the back of the pack. So 2 minutes, as ever, of Tinker Time goes underway. And as I retire and get myself up into the box, let's have a little run through those liveries. So that is Pro Fubby out in first place in the number 55 Emochi, with Linga Bazinga in the 25 Hakeem Renault Megane. Dan VWB in the number 1 Momo Corsa, ahead of Snarling Bongo's Horbsner Automotive BMW. Luke van der Streets in the 19 PCCF, ahead of Booth Jumbo in the pink and black Team ACR. Essex Flatpack in the 4C Motorsport, ahead of Kov Karl in the other PCCF. And Al Axon in the green and black Air Bubbles, ahead of Spankmeyer in the 66 SRT. Chris 94 M Sport in the number 35 Team Graventech, ahead of Porsche Man in the 86 Monster Energy. Then Green Gaming in the 27 Horbsner Automotive SRT BMW, and Old Smoky making up the back of the grid. So let me know your predictions for this one. I'd love to know what you make of it. It's going to be an absolute cracker, as Monza always is. And whilst we have a little break, don't forget to keep up with all of the news and goings on. To follow us on your preferred choice of social media channels, or like Pokemon, collect them all. You can follow us at Flux Motorsport on both Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. We have a group there as well. And if you just want to get involved even closer and join up in this fantastic clean racing community, then head on over to www.fluxmotorsport.com and get yourself on track with the rest of these boys. 9 seconds and we'll be getting this race underway. Remember to keep an eye out on Snarling Bongo in the BMW. We will focus on him as we get the lights underway. And races started here at Monza. Look at that Beamer. He takes on the number 1 Momo Corsa. He does 2. Is he going to be able to take on? He has. He puts himself up into first place as expected. He does have to try and hold it though from Pro Fubby, who we know has got bags of pace up the inside. Pro Fubby as well. Looks as though collisions have been avoided as we move a bit further down the pack. Are we all through turn 1 clean? It looks to be that way, and that's what we like to see. Back up to the pack. Snarling Bongo leads to Pro Fubby, with Linga Bazinga in third, down in fourth with Booth Jumbo in fifth, who's made up a place to Essex Flatpack, who has also moved up into sixth. In fact, it looks as though we've lost a driver from the very start. Luke van der Streets is in 7th, Al Axon in 8th, Kov Karl in 9th, Spankmeyer in 10th, Chris 94 M Sport in 11th, Porsche Man in 12th, Green Gaming in 13th, and Old Smoky in 14th. Can't spot who we've lost just yet, but we've certainly lost someone. But the Beamer leads the race into lap 1 as they come out of the second Lesmo into Saraglio. And the Beamer is really hooning as well, carrying plenty of overspeed. We know that the Renault is putting in quicker lap times, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not Pro Fubby is going to be able to easily get past the Dutchman. Definitely looks as though he can take Ascari a little bit quicker. Is he going to be able to get a little bit quicker out of the exit? We're a bit far away here. Let's go on board with Pro Fubby. Into the cockpit now then of Pro Fubby. This is him chasing Snarling Bongo. Into the braking of Parabolica, and look how much speed Pro Fubby is able to carry compared to the BMW. Looks as though he's going to try and do it up the inside. He's not going to get it done this time around. And it also looks as though Linga Bazinga is going to try and make a move around the outside as well. Picking up a draft at the moment from both of those drivers. He comes very close to Pro Fubby. And Linga Bazinga might try and, as they come together, looks as though they just managed to unlatch, which is pretty rare in Project Cars 2. Glad to see that happen, because that could have been disastrous. Pro Fubby remains in second place. Linga Bazinga in third. All the while, this has brought Dan VB and Luke van der Street a little bit closer, as you can see them approaching in the red and yellow and the turquoise and blue car in the background. Flying through my list, just trying to see who we are missing. Looks as though we might have lost Wardy, I think. Yeah, it is. Looking down the list, Wardy looks as though he was disconnected before the race has actually started. That's going to be advantage to his good friend Spankmeyer, and it looks as though Pro Fubby there, coming out of the second Lesmo, is looking to try and get the drive on Snarling Bongo. He's certainly carrying a lot of pace as he takes himself through Saraglio into Ascari now, and you can see as well Dan VWB is battling with Linga Bazinga in the background too. Line of traffic going on through here into Ascari, and it looks as though they're all pretty much pulling at the same sort of speed. Dan is definitely going to get a tow. In fact, all of them are going to get a tow. Let's jump into the cockpit of Dan VWB. You can see Linga Bazinga just having a little look around the outside there of Pro Fubby. Is he going to try and take him around the outside through Parabolica? Gets his nose up in front. He's not going to be able to pull a cutback here. You're just going to scrub too much speed, it seems. And it looks as though Dan is going to make a move up and maybe challenge him for that third position. Dan does hold the inside line into turn 1, but is he going to be able to do it under braking? Looks as though Linga Bazinga's got a little bit more pace in the gear setup of his Keen. He's actually going up the inside now of Pro Fubby. Looks as though he's alongside. And there's disaster there, and he's come together. It looks as though it was Luke van der Street made a big mistake. Didn't look as though he could manage to control it. He's caught into the side of Pro Fubby. Hopefully Pro Fubby hasn't got too much damage. I think he just caught him straight into a T-bone of the doors, so hopefully suspension damage will have been avoided. But Luke van der Street's having an absolute nightmare there. Not sure what happened. We just saw him coming up sort of the inside, almost catching the grass of Retafilo, and it looks as though a little bit of a love touch there from Dan, carrying a bit too much speed, it seems, from Roger through turns 3. And just all sorts of action going on, some of it unwanted, and it looks as though that is Pro Fubby out of the race. He's just vanished, and that is him gone. So that's going to be advantage to Linga Bazinga in the championship for sure. Snarling Bongo continues to lead the race, and he's got quite a considerable lead of 3.5 seconds now after all of that third lap antics. Dan is now taking second place away from Linga Bazinga, and he now leads the pack of Renault Megans through Ascari. Linga Bazinga is going to definitely try and challenge the Belgian though. As he moves around the outside, he's going to take that outside line through Parabolica. Looks as though Essex Flatpack is following him through as well. Luke van der Street seems to have remained on track. Whether or not he's avoided any damage, I'm not too sure. But he's also got Booth Jumbo just behind as well. So Linga Bazinga takes back second place from Dan. and he's got a bit of a train of cars as well pulling in the slipstream, so this could be curtains for Dan. I think he's going to lose out on another place as they come through. Essex Flatpack's actually carrying bags of speed there. He's not got anywhere to go. He's not going to be able to run along the outside. It looks as though Dan's taking it back into the braking of turn 1, and the slot back in to go too wide. Looks as though Luke van der Streets has done it under braking. Little love tap there to Dan, and he needs to be careful. Racing pretty hard here, and after that collision with Pro Fubby into turn 1, he's definitely going to have to watch his nose to make sure he avoids any further encounter with the stewards. So it's Snarling Bongo leading the race to Linga Bazinga in second, Dan in third with Luke van der Streets in fourth. Essex Flatpack is battling with Booth Jumbo, and Booth Jumbo looks as though he's gone sideways. He's going to lose out on loads of positions here as he takes it over the sleeping policeman, drops from fourth place down to ninth, manages to get himself back on track, but looks as though he's now been overtaken by Kovkarl and drops down to 11th place. Costly mistake that. Couldn't quite catch it on the stream, so not sure what happened. I'm sure if there was an avoidable incident, then it will be into the steward's inquiry. Booth Jumbo, a member of the Marshals team, so he knows the protocol in regards to this. Let's get back up to that action in the front here. Dan is still holding off Linga Bazinga with Luke van der Streets in fourth place. Essex Flatpack not too far behind as well. We'll jump on board with Essex Flatpack. In fact, it looks as though he's just falling out of touch, it seems, with the cars ahead of him. So yeah, he's just losing track, it seems, Essex Flatpack. On board now then with Luke van der Streets, chasing down Linga Bazinga and Dan. Both of them weaving, trying to avoid that slipstream. Looks as though Linga's going to settle on the outside. He's going to be able to get it done under braking, not too sure. Looks as though he's actually holding onto the line here. Dan's going to have to fall back in unless he can brake in time. Looks as though he's timed that to perfection. He's going to be able to do it. Oh, they come together a little bit, trading paint and scratching mirrors. And Linga Bazinga comes off better off, it seems. Meanwhile, a bit further down the action, we've got Spankmeyer in 6th. Al Axon has moved up into 7th with Porsche Man in 8th. Kovkarl 9th. Chris 94 M Sport 10th with Booth Jumbo in 11th. Green Game in 12th. And Old Smoky at the back of the pack in 13th. So 36 minutes remaining. Can you believe we're only not even 10 minutes into this race? Lap 5 here of 45 minutes of action at the Monza GP circuit. And what a classic touring car race it is, especially a show being put on by Linga Bazinga, Dan, Luke and Essex Flatpack. Snarling Bongo has been able to romp away with a lead. He's currently got almost 7 seconds, and although he didn't quite have the qualifying pace, certainly looks as though he's got the race pace. So before the race, Pogomojo was putting in predictions of Linga Bazinga to win this one. Looks as though he got the wrong flatmate. Looks as though Snarling Bongo is definitely poised for it, although he has just lost out on a huge chunk of time, it seems, in Sector 3 of this lap. He's just lost around about 2 seconds. I wonder if he's had a bit of a collision somewhere, maybe. Let's have a little flash over to Snarling Bongo. That BMW looks pretty straight. So can't see any damage, maybe just had a bit of a wobble. It was probably coming through Ascari, judging on when it happened and where he currently is positioned on track. But you can see the lead that he's currently got. Just needs to keep his nose clean and his head on straight for this one to bring it on home. 35 minutes left to go. Tyre wear is going to be a feature of this one. It's pretty warm out there, and tyre wear is accelerated through our races. So it's going to be a case of careful driving if you're out in a gap, which Snarling Bongo currently is. 7.5 seconds to his nearest rivals, which are all very close up and racing with one another. Looks as though Linga Bazinga's going defensive, but he hasn't accounted for Luke van der Streets. And we see Dan there catching a huge curb onto 2 wheels, and Essex Flatpack has a look around the outside. Dan has to go defensive. Just closes that door on him. Essex Flatpack is chomping at the bit here to try and get himself ahead of this pack. Obviously got a lot of pace because we saw him well away from these cars just a couple of laps ago. And he just needs to hold it together, wait for that opportunity and pounce on it when it arrives. Looks as though he might have a little look up the inside here, coming into the braking of Ascari. Thinks better of it, falls back in line and takes the optimum line through it. So it is Snarling Bongo leading the race to Linga Bazinga, Dan in third, Luke in fourth with Essex Flatpack in fifth, and then we've got a bit of a gap forming. We can just see Spankmeyer in that yellow and red livery car in the background, and it looks as though Al Axon is currently challenging him pretty close on. We'll just have a quick jump on board. This is Al Axon that we're currently on with, trying to challenge Spankmeyer, it seems, in the braking of Parabolica. Both of them opting for the inside line there. It's definitely going to be a little bit slower, but he is going to be able to pull off that draft now from the car ahead of him. And here there, Essex Flatpack right on the limiter, bouncing off it indeed. I just wonder whether or not if he could have extended sixth gear a little bit, maybe that would have helped him. Essex Flatpack keeping in touch with Luke van der Streets, Dan and Linga Bazinga, and it is a epic battle that we've got going on here for second place. Looks as though Snarling Bongo is still pretty comfortable. He has lost a second or so, currently 6.5 seconds ahead of this little pack that we've got going on. Let's have a look at some of the action a little bit further down. Got Kovkarl currently challenging Booth Jumbo, and that is Chris 94M Sport, who's done pretty well for himself to get up into ninth place. Looks as though he's now being hassled by a Team ACR and a PCCF Renault Megane though. And news just coming in that Pro Fubby has retired from the championship. So this might actually be Linga Bazinga top of the championship with quite a point difference as well. This is all the more impetus for Al Axon to try and climb up as many positions as he can, as well as Dan. Dan has got it all to play for as well, because with Pro Fubby retired, that actually puts Dan third in the championship and not too far away, even despite that disconnection last time around. Booth Jumbo needs to get a bit of a wriggle on though if he wants to still remain in contention for the championship. He currently resides in 10th place. We can just see him coming through there on the pink and black liveried Team ACR. Let's have a look what's going on up at the front. The train hasn't really changed too much. Linga Bazinga in second, Dan in third. Luke is being challenged by Essex Flatpack though, it seems. Essex having a look up the inside. Is he going to be able to get it done under braking? Looks as though he's alongside, and that might be move done if he can hold it into the braking zone of turn one. And he can indeed. It looks as though there's a bit of contact there from Luke. Sure, that one might be a little bit dubious. Using his car as a blocking tool, certainly not within the racing etiquette. And Essex Flatpack might well be reporting Luke van der Streets come the end of this one. To wait and see. These trackside cameras can be pretty deceptive. Interesting as well, Snarling Bongo's lost out on another half second or so. That distance between them now 5.9, 5.8 seconds it seems between Linga Bazinga and Snarling Bongo. Oh, and there is Luke running very wide through the first Lesmo. Managed to get it back together, but he certainly lost out on a bit of pace through the second Lesmo and into the run-up to Seraglio. Let's have a look at our race leader then, coming through Ascari. Still a nice and tidy Horton Automotive SRT BMW running out through the front, and with 30 minutes to go he still holds on to a lead of 6 seconds. You can see the rest of the pack currently behind them, and let's have a little closer look at them as they come up to the run-up to Parabolica. Linga Bazinga in second place. Dan has fallen away ever so slightly. In third, he's currently just shy of a second or so. Let's see what's going on a little bit further behind. So it looks as though Essex Flatpack is holding on to a sort of 10 car length or so lead to Luke van der Streets. Spankmeyer in 6th place is still holding off Al Axen. Ulju82 in 7th position. Looks as though we've got a bit of a battle going on between Porsche Man and Booth Jumbo as well, down in 8th and 9th place. 28 minutes and 40 seconds remain inside race 4 here at the FMTCC. Inga Bazinga is looking to try and extend what will be a championship lead following the retirement of Pro Fubby. Al Axon would remain in 2nd place, but as we can see, he is currently in 7th, so he needs to try and catch up as much as he can in the second half of this race. And it looks as though Kovkarl is into the pits. That is going to be damage repairs, I think. Maybe a tyre change whilst he's at it, but you can see that front end of that number 20 PCCF is looking like it's pretty banged up. So over to our race leader, 5.7 seconds now, and it doesn't look as though the gap is shortened too much as they come to Ascari. That might just have been the braking. It might well extend out to 6 seconds once again when the cars behind maybe come out of the braking zone. Doesn't look as though it has levelled out too much. Around about 5.3 seconds or so it seems. Although my telemetry board is telling me 5.8, so maybe a little bit of a difference going on with the timing sectors here. Inga Bazinga in 2nd though. He's held off Dan remarkably well. Dan is definitely still challenging. Looks as though Old Smoky is also into the pits. In fact, Old Smoky is out of there. Old Smoky decides to retire the race, and I'm not sure he's finished a race this season. Perhaps more practice required in that BMW for the next race there. Old Smoky out, and only 12 remain here at race 4. 26 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Snarling Bongo leading the charge with 5 seconds lead ahead of this man, Linga Bazinga, in 2nd. That is Dan that you can see in 3rd place with Essex Flat Pack. Ringer in 4th position. And I knew that he'd do pretty well. He always does in that 4C Motorsport Renault Megane. And there he is, just coming into the background of your screen. Obviously no work today, and it means that he can come out and play here in the touring cars. Meanwhile, looks as though Al Axon is still challenging Spankmeyer now for 6th position. Let's have a little look at this. So Spankmeyer in the number 66 SRT, and that is Al Axon in 7th place that you can see as well, holding on to the back of him, but not quite making any gains through Ascari. Through Lesmo. He's losing out on the 2nd as well. Looks as though he is. Here, just a little drop of revs. Let's see whether or not it's just a gear setup thing, because he is currently pulling a toe. Let's jump into the chase. Let's have a look at the differences in braking through these. You can just see there, Al Axon onto the brakes a little bit further. Looks as though he maybe messed up the braking line. Bit of commentator's curse there a little bit. He's still onto the brakes as he was taking the first part of the first corner of Ascari. You definitely want to be turning by that point. You certainly don't want to be turning whilst braking in these front wheel drive cars. See a little bit earlier onto the brakes there as well from Al Axon compared to the SRT ahead of him. Both of them taking a bit of a middle of the road line through Parabolica. That's my usual line as well. Playing it relatively safe. It's interesting inside these front wheel drives. Usually I find that the optimum line is the outside cutting in, but it can be quite tricky to make sure that you don't get the overcorrections. They both come down heavy into the brakes. Bit of a lock up there from both drivers, I think, into that first chicane sector. But we'll continue to keep a bit of an eye on what's going on with them. Booth Jumbo has made up a couple of positions. I think that's since we've seen some guys into the pit. I think Chris 94 M Sport has also made a bit of a mistake. He finds himself a few positions down, now in 11th place, and just completely struggling, I think, for pace in that Team Graventech Vauxhall Astra. Let's get back up to what's going on at the front of this one though. second place battles. You can see Linga Bazinga has actually caught up almost another second to Snarling Bongo. Currently split at around about 4 seconds between the BMW in first place and Linga Bazinga in second. Dan is also around about 1.1 seconds off the pace as well, so he's fallen away a bit. And in fact, Linga Bazinga, that last lap around, went the fastest lap of the race with a 1:56.763, so currently holding on for the bonus point inside this one for the fastest lap. Looks like we may have lost another driver. I think Luke van der Streets is out of this one. Down to 11 with 23 minutes and 12 seconds to go. That's music to Chris 94 M Sport and Kovkarl's ears. They're going to get up another position just by default here. Get back over to the battle for 5th now, which was previously the battle for 6th. This is Spankmeyer in 5th position, Al Axon in 6th. Al having a little look around the outside. We might well see a bit of late braking. He seemed to be braking later the last time we looked around him. Looks as though he's played it safe. He's going to hold on to this one. Tyre wear is definitely going to start to be a bit of a blocker for all cars out on track. If anything, the benefit of tyre wear is going to go in the favour, I can imagine, of the BMWs. So that is Snarling Bongo and Green Gaming. The only other BMW would have been Old Smokey out there, who's since retired. So the BMW should be pretty kind on the tyres. I imagine it's these front wheel drive ones where they're doing both the driving and the steering that are really going to scrub up a treat. And you can imagine just coming through that second Lesmo how much they're throwing that car in at pace as well. That's really going to put some pressure under those front tyres. 21 minutes and 45 seconds remaining inside this race. Linga Bazinga has gained almost another half second to his compatriot in the BMW. Currently 3.3 seconds and gaining rapidly, it seems. Snarling Bongo's lead is looking pretty wobbly at this point. Currently lapping around about 6/10 quicker. Little request there from Jelma Streppel on whether or not the top 3 have penalties. Let's have a little look, Jelma. Do indeed. So Snarling Bongo with a 1 second penalty, Linga Bazinga with a 2, and Dan VWB with a 2, which will cancel each other out. We will keep our eyes out on this as we draw a little bit closer. So if anything, that is going to be a benefit to Snarling Bongo, gaining almost an additional second to the 3.4 seconds that he currently holds on to. So now, still Spankmeyer and Al Axon opting for those different lines. Who's going to come out best from it? Looks as though Al just has to overcorrect a little bit. Spankmeyer, therefore, gets the clean drive through turn 1 and through Curve Grande, and retains his 5th place position for yet another lap. Looks as though Dan is getting a little bit closer to Linga Bazinga. I think Linga Bazinga had a bit of a shocker that last lap around. He lapped in a 2 minutes 1.405 compared to Dan's 2 minutes 653. So Linga Bazinga maybe just struggling a little bit with those tyre wears. He's definitely driven the socks off it, trying to catch up to Snarling Bongo. And now Dan looks as though he might just have a little bit of a challenge on the braking into Ascari. Come through the tunnel. Let's have a look what happens here. Looks as though he's going to stick in line and maybe try and get him through the drive out on the straight towards Parabolica. Dan's messed that up a bit. He's going to catch plenty of curb, and that's going to slow him down as those sleeping policemen want to bounce you off the road. Maybe too much too soon, and he's going to have to fall back in line and slowly build up on that pace that he managed to gain in that last lap. Half a second the deficit between Dan and Linga Bazinga in 2nd and 3rd place. Back to this battle between Spankmeyer and Al Axon continues on, and they're also coming up to the drive into Parabolica. Looks as though Al trying to eke out any little advantage that he can get through the slipstream. Spankmeyer goes to cover it. He's got plenty of cover to go as well. You can see a little difference in line. It looks as though Al might be going for a little bit of a cutback, but he holds on to the outside and just tries to get the drive through into the draft. Back to our top two drivers, Linga Bazinga and Dan, as they're actually coming really close now to Snarling Bongo. Snarling Bongo has perhaps made a bit of a mistake. Let's have a look at his sector times. Maybe making a mistake into sector 1 this lap 14, and that's what's allowed them all to catch up. Just pulling up the sectors, yeah, he lost out on about 1.2 seconds, which has seen Linga Bazinga and Dan VWB now in sight. And when you can see a car ahead of you like that, it just gives you that little bit of extra that you can push on to try and secure that race victory. Linga Bazinga, of course, the current GT1 champion. And he'll be well akin to the amount of pressure that he's currently under to try and get that lead position back. He's, of course, as well second in the championship this season. If you've not caught the GT1s, it's currently being led by Bruce Law. Linga Bazinga is in second with Immortalis in third. Of course, heading to the infamous Spa-Francorchamps circuit this coming Thursday, 8 PM UK time. Please adjust to whichever time zone you're watching us in, and you'll be able to join the excellent McToasty and DJ Redders in the commentary box for that one. Go back trackside. Let's see whether or not Snarling Bongo is going to be able to hold on to this one now. His lead's now shortened to just under half a second, and he's now in that sort of biting point where a little bit of clever braking might just do it for him. Holds back in line, in fact all drivers do, and maybe just might see something a little bit adventurous coming through Curvy Grand here. Let's see what happens. Now it looks as though they're all going to stick in the train, trying to get that slipstream. Can run a little bit deep and almost cut back on the run up to the second chicane there, but looks as though they're going to play it safe with 16 minutes and 45 seconds remaining inside this one. Don't want to do anything too rash and absolutely blow what would be a good chance for a podium. Linga Bazinga is actually going to come off best from this, just even remaining in second place. He's going to have, in fact he's actually lost out on the bonus point. Dan VWB actually went purple that last lap around, a 156.423, so Dan is now really turning up the heat. He's going to get the bonus point, but Linga Bazinga will be first in the championship even if he retains second or third position here today. So into the braking of Ascari, comes very close to the rear end of that one. It almost looks as though Linga Bazinga's doing Snarling Bongo a bit of a favour. Snarling Bongo just manages to get an extra half a car, maybe even a full car's length off the back of that. You can see Dan itching to try and jink left, jink right, and try and put Linga Bazinga into a position that he doesn't want to be in. Has a little look up the inside there, Dan. Is he going to get this one hooked up? He's fallen in the slipstream. Looks as though Linga Bazinga could have actually held onto the inside line. Looked as though he carried plenty more speed. He's going to go outside into turn 1. Dan a little bit indecisive, and it's going to be Linga Bazinga taking the lead here, at least into the braking zone of turn 1. Looks as though Dan is just putting a bit of fear to go 3 wide, and the BMW holds it off in the end under braking. It's going to potentially have the drive out of that one as well, so no change there in turn 1, lap 16. Snarling Bongo leads to Linga Bazinga and Dan VWB in third position. Essex Flatpack in fourth with Spankmeyer in fifth. Al Axon in 6th with Booth Jumbo in 7th, Porsche Man 8th, Green Game in 9th, Chris 94 M Sport in 10th, and Cov Carl back in 11th place. All other cars have since retired, so only 11 places worth of positions on offer today, and Chris 94 M Sport has actually just dropped down to 11th position. Cov Carl moves up into 10th. Snarling Bongo is pushing hard now, by the way. He's just gone green in Sector 1, so that's his fastest Sector 1 of the day. And even then, it's not managing to hold off Linga Bazinga, who now just has a little look up the inside. Is he going to get this one done? I think he might well do if he's brave under braking into Ascari. He has to take some evasive manoeuvres, and Linga Bazinga has to succumb to it in the end. Snarling Bongo held his nerve there like a dream, and he holds on to first place because of it. But for how long? 13 minutes and 52 seconds remain inside this one. Al Axon has just gone green in Sector 1 as well. So Al is turning up the heat, trying to catch back up to the rear end of Spankmeyer. We saw them battling a little bit earlier on. And there is that alternative line that you just saw Linga Bazinga taking. He'd usually cut down a little bit deeper, but he's managed to hold plenty of momentum, and you can see the difference between him and Dan VWB in the differences in line. And now Linga Bazinga is going to have a little look up the inside of turn 1. It's going to be tough for Snarling Bongo this, as the rear end just steps away from him a bit. He takes over the sleeping policeman. And Linga there just had to cover. Dan is now having a little look up the inside of Curve Grand, and it looks as though he's going to get it done to take first position. Dan picking the pockets of the two Dutchmen there, so the Belgian comes off better off in lap 17. He now holds on to first position as they come down into Rogia. Holds on to his nerve, and it looks as though Snarling Bongo is now dropping down into third position. Let's see whether or not he can get the drive done down towards the first Lesmo. Doesn't, holds back into his line. So Dan leads the race with Linga Bazinga in second, Snarling Bongo in third place, and Essex Flatpack in fourth. Essex Flatpack not yet in view. He's currently about 8 seconds away from the rest of these guys, and Snarling Bongo gets very, very loose, picking up all sorts of dirt, and that's going to make the braking into Ascari very tricky unless he can clear it off his tyres in time. Also worth noting, he's only got 17 litres worth of fuel left. In fact, that's Linga Bazinga. Let's have a look at what Dan's got. 25, Snarling Bongo with 19. So Linga Bazinga, let's hope that he's timed his fuel use to perfection here, because that looks a little bit low to me, 17 litres. Let's see whether or not I can pull up the statistics of how much fuel they're using per lap. Don't think I can, because I'm not actually inside the car. I can't, I'm afraid, but... quick look through here. Target usage is 5.8 litres per minute, which just seems a bit ridiculous. That can't be right at all. So forget I even said anything. But even then, 17 litres seems pretty low. There's going to be another, what, let's see, 6 laps, maybe even 7 to go inside this race. Probably using maybe 2.5 litres a lap. We'll wait and see. But Dan continues to lead. Linga Bazinga second place. Snarling Bongo in third. Held on for as long as he could, Snarling Bongo. He really did well to maintain a 7.5 to 8 second lead for a large proportion of this race. But the sustained pace of Dan VWB and Linga Bazinga was just too much in the end. Just over 10 minutes remaining inside this race. It could still be anybody's. Don't discount anyone just yet. But the young Belgian is certainly got the advantage here. Scott Wardy coming in from the pit box, using about 2.3 litres per lap, so I wasn't too far off with my estimate of 2.5. Let's have a look at the penalties once we get around this. Looks as though Linga's going to have a little look around the outside. He's going to get that one done as well. I don't think Dan can do anything about that pace. Linga's going to pass on the braking down into Ascari. Dan falls back in line, and the lead does go to the Dutchman. Linga Bazinga takes first place away from Dan. Let's have a look at that timing board. Both of them even on the penalties. Snarling Bongo does have a 1 second advantage, which will currently see him in second place if it was to finish as it stands. Let's have a look over to Linga's fuel. So 14 laps, 9 minutes to go. I think he is just going to make it. He's going to make it with a couple of litres of fuel left. And a Snarling Bongo just gone off. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there into Parabolica. Just saw him lose out on a heap of time. That might just have cost Snarling Bongo second place, that little mistake. He has got a 1 second lead in terms of penalties, but he just sits 2 seconds back. And you can also see the 4C Motorsport of Essex Flatpack there in the background, who's building up a bit of momentum. He's lapping about 1.1 seconds quicker than Snarling Bongo that last lap around. So So Linga Bazinga, with what has been a very composed race in that number 25 for Keane, Renault Megane. Hats off to all drivers really that have cleared themselves up at the front. We saw a huge incident with Luke van der Street. That's probably going to see him take a bit of a knuckle wrapping from the stewards. But other than that, it's been such tight racing from start to finish. And whoever does come out on top, and that is probably going to be another second to Dan unless he slows down, just taking the first part of the Lesmo super wide, and it looks as though he kept his foot in, so that could well be another small advantage to Linga Bazinga come the end of this. But as I was saying, it was been so close, and any one of these sort of top 4 drivers are very much deserving of the win. Essex Flatpack's done really well just to mainly keep his head in the game and keep up with these lot. He's not lost out on too much pace at all. Currently 9.5 seconds behind the current race leader of Linga Bazinga. And you can just see him coming around there, the second part of Ascari in the background. Not lost out too much. It can be quite easy to get complacent when you aren't racing with anyone door to door, to maybe just slow things down and run your own race, but he's certainly been pushing all of his own accord. Let's have a look at the fastest lap of the race. Let's see who it currently holds on to. It is still being held by Dan VWB. It's 1:56.423 is that magic bonus point time that people are currently tracking. In fact, Linga Bazinga wasn't too far away from that just on the last lap. That was Linga Bazinga's fastest lap of the race, that 1:56.463. And he's pushing hard. Linga Bazinga will be hungry for that bonus point and to try and sweep up both the race victory and the fastest lap bonus point. There will be no bonus point for pole position as the race leader, the pole position sitter has since retired from the race. So this is all the points to play for really. Linga Bazinga there just locking up that rear left, it seemed. Might have even been the front left. It was just outside of our angle, and Snarling Bongo is getting very loose coming out of Raggia. In fact, sorry, no, it was down into Rettifilo. No, I was right first time as they come through the Lesmo section. I just wonder whether or not his tyres are starting to drift away from him ever so slightly now. So 6 minutes and 15 seconds all to play for between Linga Bazinga and Dan in terms of a race victory here. There isn't much between them, and that's actually the back marker of Chris 94 M Sport that you can see ahead. Looks as though he's got some pretty heavy damage on that Vauxhall Astra. I'm sure we'll see in the next lap or two as they get a little bit closer. Dan biding his time. And the young Belgian driver challenging the GT1 champion. Of course, Dan is no newbie to these front-wheel drives. He has also been a Clio Cup champion back in the former Rubbins Racing days. Loves to throw it down on a lower powered, no downforce car. Of course, these cars do have a little bit of downforce. And oh no, it looks as though Essex Flatpack's come into the pit. Hopefully he's going to get away soon, otherwise he's going to see himself lose out on a position. Looks as though there was a tyre change going on. And he does come out the pits, but Spankmeyer moves up into 4th position. Maybe that tyre was just too far gone. And Essex Flatpack comes in, and it's going to cost him a couple of positions. He will fight back for it in the final 5 minutes. But it's going to be a tall order. Let's have a look at his current difference going on. Looks as though he's got 11 seconds to make up to the rear end of Al Axon in 5th place. So tragedy there bestows the driver from Essex. Comes in as a touring car ringer now and again, and he always impresses every single time that he does. Hopefully going to be filling in a permanent seat very shortly, because we love to see him on this circuit. But here is Linga Bazinga and Dan VWB now approaching the back marker of Chris 94 M Sport. He moves alongside to let the other drivers through. He's missing his front end of that Vauxhall Astra. And they both come through. Definitely not going to be the most aerodynamic setup for that car. Missing the entire front end and obviously had a bit of a nightmare somewhere along the lines. He's done well to hold it out. Maybe it's just superficial. As I said, not too much downforce on these cars, so the front wing doesn't really count for much. You can see big whopping rear wing, but even then not much adjustability and doesn't really do a great deal apart from a little bit maybe more grip through high speed corners and definitely a lot more drag when it comes down to top speed. Big bit of braking coming up here, big puff of smoke from both of them, and it looks as though Dan's just edged himself up into the lead temporarily. Smart move there from the Belgian, and it looks as though he's going to hold on to it. Linga Bazinga looking for a bit of a cutback. He's going to have to go the long way around if he's going to get this one done. Dan shuts that door on him. Might have been a little bit too defensive, that one. It looked a little bit naughty from Dan. Not giving Linga Bazinga much road to use at all. Linga Bazinga comes back on the charge though, down into the run to the Lesmo section. And we're going to see a pretty heavy brake and throw in here. Try and undercut. No, he's not. He's going to go around the first one, around the outside. Looks up the inside for the second Lesmo, but falls back in line. And now just wants to try and drag it out to Suraglio. That is Snarling Bongo that you can see on the approach to Chris 94 M Sport in the background. And Linga Bazinga looks as though he's pulling up alongside Dan again on the run up to Ascari. They come up alongside. It's all down to braking from this point on, but Dan takes the advantage. Is he going to be able to carry the speed through Ascari? I'm not too sure. Does look as though Linga Bazinga's got a great drive through there. In fact, let's jump on board with Linga Bazinga. Let's get a better view of that because we're currently being a little bit let down. Get the drone footage out. Linga Bazinga is almost side by side with the Belgian now. Goes around for the outside line, and look, we can see Dan there just scrubbing off a bit of speed. He's going to go around. Is he going to hold on to the track limits? Looks as though he is, but he's going to have to pull off a major cutback here, and it looks as though that little correction from Linga Bazinga just cost him that tiny bit of momentum that holds him to remain in second place. He's now having a little look up around the outside into turn one. Dan has got the clear advantage coming into this on the inside line. And there it is, under braking, manages just to hold it off. Let's see whether or not Linga can come back. But it does look as though, based upon the times that we're currently running, this will be the final lap of the race. So it's all down to this, ladies and gents. It has been 23 laps of epic touring car action. Dan leads the race. Linga Bazinga is hungry to get around him. Jinx left, Jinx right. Comes under braking and then just has to pull out of it ever so slightly. Let's just pull up the timing boards. 2 seconds penalty remains for each of these drivers. So all of the penalties are going to be nullified. Snarling Bongo does actually have a 1 second advantage, but he's currently 3.1 seconds behind the leader. He's 2 seconds or so behind Linga Bazinga as well, so he's not going to make any big gains from this unless there are any additional penalties come the checkered flag. But it looks as though Dan has got this one pretty much nailed down. He's only got, what'll it be, 3 corners, and it's actually 2 on paper as he comes through Ascari to hold on to the lead. He is approaching the back marker. Hopefully he'll be able to get through that back marker pretty quickly. It does look as though it's Green Gaming, who's known for pulling well alongside as under blue flag conditions. It does look as though he's holding on to the racing line at the moment, though. He needs to get it away from that. Maybe there's a bit more of a gap than the current camera indicates. It does look as though he's holding on to it, so Dan is going to come across the line, it seems. It's now got an 8/10 second lead, a flash of the lights from the race winner, and it's been foot in mouth all the way through this race. Dan takes the victory, Linga Bazinga in second. Snarling Bongo, who was leading the race for over half of it, comes across the line to collect a podium in third place. I do believe that's his first podium inside the touring cars. Spankmeyer's going to do it enough for fourth place in the end. In fact, that was because of the pit stop. I was going to say, what happened to Essex Flat Pack? But of course he made that pit stop. That's thrown dropped down a couple of places, so Spankmeyer held his resolve in that SRT, and it's going to be enough for fourth position in the end. And of course, Al Axon, who's been right up his chuff all the way through this one, comes across the line in 5th place. Booth Jumbo is now quite a distance back in 6th place, but does look as though he's held on to Porsche Man throughout this one. In fact, it looks as though we've just had somebody disconnect. So we'll have to see who that was. Just having a look through the little list now to see who it may have been. Can't make it out from the top of this. I think it was Essex Flatpack. Essex Flatpack has. He's showing up as DNF on my timing boards. Booth Jumbo comes across the line in 6th place. Porsche Man, solid finish from him in 7th. That's just going to continue what has been a great season from Porsche Man. Kovkarl in 8th position. Disappointing race for him, but he did come all the way from the back. And then it was Green Gaming in 9th, Chris 94 M Sport in 10th. But let's have a little run through this one and let's clarify the fastest lap of the race. It was, in the end, going to our race leader, in fact, race victor, should I say, in the form of Dan VWB. The young Belgian comes up with the goods in the number 1 Momo Corsa to secure the race victory and the bonus point. Linga Bazinga in 2nd place. He may be showing as a Brit there, but he is, of course, a Dutchman ahead of his compatriot in Snarling Bongo, who finishes in 3rd in the end. Spankmeyer does enough for 4th place with Al Axon stroke All U82 in 5th. Booth Jumbo in 6th and Porsche Man in 7th. Kovkarl in 8th with Green Gaming in 9th. Chris 94 M Sport in 10th. And Essex Flatpack retired. Not sure what went on there. Along with Old Smoky in the end. So that is race 4 of the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship. Next race here in the Touring Cars, we've had a little whistle stop around Italy. We're now going to take it over to Germany for the Hockenheim National Circuit. Same time on Tuesday next week. You'll be able to join me 8 p.m. UK time. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss out on any of those races. And also, if you want to make sure that you don't miss the start of any of our streams, hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified whenever we go live. Other than that, you can follow us on all of the regular social media channels. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And of course, if you want to join up, or maybe you want to purchase some Flux Motorsport merchandise for your collection, then head on over to our website. It's www.fluxmotorsport.com, where you'll find the link for all of that. I've been Murphy. You'll be able to see me on track for the GT1s around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit on Thursday. But other than that, take care, enjoy your week, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Good night.